For the second type of trench system, I'm going to be using 2 of these 3/4 inch sheets of insulation foam. And as you can see, I've done the same thing that I did on the first one. I've measured out my lines. This is a 24 inch piece, and I've cut it to 24 inches. I've made my 3 lines. They're each 2 inches apart, and we have 4 inches here, 4 inches here, 4 inches here, and 2 6-inch pieces in the center. So my first step, like before, is I'm going to trace these lines with the knife, giving my guide. I'll give you an example of that. I'm not going to go all the way through. I just want to give myself a guide. So I'm going to do that, and then once I have my guide, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to cut this entire line out. I'm only going to do this top line, and I'm going to go all the way through after I've made my initial guide cut. So I'll have 2 separate pieces. I'm going all the way through. So I'll do that and be right back. Okay, so I have cut along my initial guideline, cut all the way through. So what we're left with is the beginnings of an Insta trench. What I'm going to do now is take the model or models, test them out, make sure we can get 2 side by side. Now you see here on the interior we can't do that. So to make up for that, we're going to take about 3/4 of an inch off of this and 3/4 of an inch off of this. So take our pen and our ruler, come back 3/4 of an inch and make a mark. And we'll do that on each of the areas. Doesn't really have to be 3/4 of an inch. We can go back 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, depends on how wide you want the area to be in between here. Once we knock off this section and this section, we'll have plenty of room to get our models in and out. So before you do this one, or before you do these, do one at a time. So I'll do these first, and then I'll line it up and see how much room I have in between. If I have enough at that point and I don't need to take any off the back, all the better. That's less work. So let me go ahead and cut these, and then I'll be back and show you what the final result was. Okay, so here is what I ended up doing to compensate for the area in between. As I was showing you before, there just wasn't enough room really to pass in between here. So keeping our distance here in mind, I took 3/4 of an inch off of these 3 edges, took 1/4 of an inch off these back 2 edges, and now that gives us plenty of room to get 2 models in here. And of course we can fudge this in or out however you want to. The only reason that I'm taking it off of the ends instead of just say pulling it back is I don't want all this space to just be wide open. So my 2 options were to shave the ends of these, or to come in and excuse me, cut out the edge angles here to widen that up. That's what we did on the first board. I would rather do it this way on this type of trench, just because you're really going to be fiddling with a hard angle to get straight on these, and then you're going to have to cut in a little bit also, and it'll really look choppy in the end unless you're extremely careful. This is just an easy and quick way to widen the gaps in between here. So we have 2 options at this point. We can base it on a 1/4 inch sheet of MDF. We just want to cut it to size, 24 inches. Of course this is way too small, just using it as an example. Or we can base it directly on a piece of foam. So what we do is take our foam, set our spacing exactly the way that we want it, and then we would just glue it into place. Now if you're using toothpicks while you're gluing this down, make sure and keep the toothpicks right along the edges, because you'll have to go back and shave this area out either with a hot wire cutter or with the blade, and you don't want to be trying to cut through toothpicks that you've set out too far. So that would be it basically. You just glue this down and cut around the edges and you're good to go. So why did we leave all this area on the back? Well, let's say that we want to make a modular trench system. Since we have these open edges, we can add more pieces to it later on, but if we want to make it deeper, what we need to do is take our ruler and say we want a 2.5 inch path. So we just mark this out at 2.5 inches, and then we would draw our lines. And since we still have our 2-inch area defined back here, we just draw it however far we want to, and then we can angle from there, angle from here, and have it come off the back edge of the board, and then we could make pretty much an entire table of just trench systems using this method. And they would all be modular, since you would be basing it either on this or on the MDF. So that is it. That is how easy it is to do it this way. All you need to do is your one initial cut, pull it apart, then either shave here or on the edges to make sure that you have a clearly defined path that your models can get through it okay, and then glue it to a base and you're done. That's how easy it is to do it this way as opposed to the other way. Now, if you wanted to make this taller, all you would do is use your same template. And as a matter of fact, you could just use this template and place it down, draw your lines, cut it out, stack it on top, and there you go. You have it. You'd have it at 1.5 inches. And you can also use your 2-inch foam if you wanted to make a very deep trench. Cut it out the same way, put it on a base, and it's good to go as well. So I hope that's been helpful, and I hope I didn't leave anything out. If you want to see something in more detail, please let me know. Send me a PM, leave a comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I will put more out in the future.